On deck we got Hazel Calderon. But welcome to the stage, Tim Finnegan, everybody! Put those hands together.
What up, people? How y'all doing tonight?
Yeah.
All right, well, that's what I like to hear. Well, my name's Tim Finnegan, but besides being known as Tim Finnegan, I could also be known as Ferris Bueller or Abe Froman. Now, I'd like to tell you guys a fucking story about my high school life. Now, I went to Shermer High School back in the day in Northbrook, Illinois, and I used to play hooky and ditch school back during my high school years. It was fucking awesome. And yeah, I don't know, there were times when, like, at least when I was a senior in high school, I pretended to be sick when I wasn't really sick, and I was just playing hooky, and I called in sick like 9 times when I was in high school, when my senior year, getting ready for graduation. Now, you know, there was one day I wasn't really sick, but my parents, Katie and Tom Bueller, thought I was sick. And then my sister Jeannie didn't believe I was sick, and she was always fucking pissed off at the time. I was like, why do you always get away with all this shit? So now, when I called in on my 9th sick day and took the day off of school, I spent the entire day in downtown Chicago with my girlfriend Sloan and my best friend Cameron, and it was fucking awesome. So first I called Cameron and asked him to come over to my house to pick me up since I didn't have a fucking car at the time. But Cameron didn't want to come over because he thought he was sick, but he wasn't really sick. But then he eventually came over. When Cameron got to my house, he prank called the principal of my high school, Mr. Ed Rooney. And when he prank called Rooney, he pretended to be my girlfriend Sloan Peterson's father, George Peterson. So when Cameron called Principal Rooney, he told Rooney that he wanted Sloan released from school. And then Cameron kind of made a mistake by telling Rooney to be out there with her, but we figured it out. And then we took Cameron's dad's Ferrari, and then we picked up Sloan from school, and then we were ready to enjoy a fucking awesome day in downtown Chicago. Now, when we got to downtown Chicago, we went into the parking garage, and there was a parking attendant there, and Cameron was afraid to leave his car there because he was afraid it was going to get wrecked, like lost, stolen, or breathed out, whatever shit. And I told the parking attendant to take good fucking care of the fucking car, and I even gave him a tip, and he said he was going to do his job, but he didn't really do his job, and he just drove the car off with one of his friends, and I did before I even realized it later. So when Cameron and I and Sloan and I were in Chicago, we visited the Sears Tower. Then we went out for lunch at a fancy French restaurant. And when we were at the restaurant, I stole someone else's reservation at that restaurant. And I told the host at the restaurant that my name was Abe Froman. And he's like, "Are you the Sausage King of Chicago?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." And he's like, "Why don't you take the kids and go back to the club's house?" I'm like, "Are you suggesting that I'm not who I say I am?" And then I got in a little bit of an argument with the host. But then, and then the host threatened to call the police. I'm like, you know what, I'll just call it myself. So I used the phone. I thought I was calling the police, but I called the restaurant, and then he said, I got another phone call, and then I told him to go pick up another fucking phone. So then the host picked up the phone, and then I put Sloan on the phone and told Sloan to ask for Abe Froman, and then my friend Cameron got on the phone. He's like, "Mr. Froman, this is Sergeant Peterson, Chicago Police." So then we got seated, and we had a good time at the restaurant, but then, as I was leaving the restaurant, I realized that my father, Tom Bueller, was at the restaurant at the same time I was there, but luckily we got in the cab, and we got away just on time before my dad even noticed me. So, yeah, and then so later that day, Principal Rooney left the school ground and tried to look for me. So Rooney came over to my house, and then he rang the doorbell, and that had my automated voice on it. And then Rooney tried to break into my fucking house, and and then my neighbor's dog chased after him. Well, holy shit, that was really something. So. Meanwhile, in downtown Chicago, some of the other places I went with Sloan and Cameron were the Art Institute of Chicago. We also went to a Cubs game, and then I was also in a parade. And during the parade, I lip-synced to Donkashane and then Twist and Shout by the Beatles. And even my father, Tom, saw the parade from his office, from the very high floor, but he didn't even notice me in the parade. And then after the parade, Cameron and Sloan and I, we pretty much just started to drive home. We got the Ferrari, but then when Cameron noticed how many miles were on the odometer, he fucking went berserk, and the entire city of Chicago heard his loud scream. We tried to help Cameron feel better, but it didn't work. And then when we got back to Cameron's house, we tried putting the Ferrari in reverse, and that just added more miles. Miles didn't come off, and then Cameron got so fucking pissed off enough that he destroyed the car, broke the glass window, and then went down to ditch, and car went into a ditch, and then he fucking killed the car. So I offered to take the heat for this shit, but Cameron said he could do it and stand up to his dad. And then I said goodbye to Sloan, and then I realized my parents were home soon, so I ran home. And then Rooney found me at the back door, threatened me with another year of high school. But then when Jeannie found us, she was glad I was okay, and then she got me, told me to go back in bed. Then she threw Rooney's wallet at the fucking dog, and then the dog chased after Rooney. So then I got in my room. Parents found me, and they came to check on me, and They thought I was still sick due to being hot from running on home all that way. But yeah, I was glad, I did fucking awesome thing. Though that was really something back in high school, in my high school days, when I used to ditch school and pretend to be sick when I wasn't really sick. But that was a fucking awesome day, and that was a fucking awesome time to live through back in high school. So yeah, it's fucking awesome. That's my time. Thank you for watching tonight. You guys have a wonderful night. Thank you.
Keep it going for Tim Finnegan! That was a fucking set. Let's go. Hey, if you guys have never seen Ferris Bueller, that's the coolest guy in the room right now.